Well, some people like, oh, like, you don't talk normally. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? Like, I talk like I talk. And some people say that, like, they don't have accents too. Like, everybody has an accent. It's just specific to where you're from. My name's Karmen. I moved here from the UK. I'm from just outside of Manchester in England.
My name is James Bechet. I'm from France, Paris. I arrived here about 4 years ago.
My name is Hussein. I come from Lebanon. A lot of people do not know Lebanon. It's in the Middle East, just along the shore.
Hi, my name is Amy. I'm 22 years old, and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
My name is Ivana, English accent, and Ivana in Serbian accent. You can hear the difference. I am a composer and violinist and theater performer who moved here from Serbia. I moved to Canada in the mid-90s and tried to, in search for a better life and brighter future, my friends and I were escaping the civil war that was going on at that time in former Yugoslavia.
My father is a British man, and my father's family is lives in England. So I want to speak with them in English. So I want to study English. So I came in Toronto.
So where I came from, there was one sort of bread, one TV channel, and only one accent. There were no people living from other countries in Serbia at that time in the mid-90s. So when I moved to Toronto, it was truly a gathering place. There were so many accents and so many different people and so many different demographics around me. I was quite surprised and overwhelmed.
I'm talking to more people who are also from different races. So my accent is like a combination of different people's accents merged together. So it doesn't really sound like a Persian accent. It's very hard to define what it is. I feel like it's a combination of everything together.
My accent has been pretty interesting. I'm sure you can notice. It's not that strong. I have a couple of friends who are a stronger French accent. But I think, it's pretty useful sometimes.
People have Russian background, they speak like this all the time, dude, give me some vodka. But yeah, I'm trying to be not one of them.
When I came to Canada, I joined a college, and one of my friends, he is born and brought up in Canada. So we were at our graduation dinner, and I told him that I'm following a diet plan. So he asked me to have chicken and everything. I told him that I'm following a diet plan and I'm only eating vegetables. So he was like, why are you eating veggie and tables?
This happened pretty recently. I was in a party and it was loud, it was dark, and I can't see people's faces, right? Party, and there was a guy came up to me and said something I couldn't hear, so I have to look really closely to his lip. I'm a lip reader. I need to see your lip so I can understand. So, I think the guy misunderstood me looking at his lip. I wanted to kick him. So he kicked me, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? And so he thought that I wanted to kick him because I was staring too hard at his lip. I explained that I'm hard of hearing and I need to see his lip in order to see what he's saying. And then he thought I was lying and said I'm using the deaf card to cover up my accent. So I had to curl up my ears until I had my hearing aid on, so I wasn't lying. And then when she found out that I was telling the truth, he got awkward, and then go, no, and she walked away. So I feel that really hurt my feelings that she walked away because I have hearing aids on. So instead of looking at me as a person, he's looking at my accent, my hard of hearing as a cover of some sort, and not seeing me as who I am.
So one of the episodes that I remember was sitting on the subway car with my friend and talking. With somewhat broken English, perhaps pretty obvious accent, maybe not as subtle as I do talk right now. At one point, we were completely involved in our conversation. At one point, didn't even notice what was going on around us. And at one point, the young man who was obviously intoxicated jumped at us and started yelling, "You fucking immigrants, like, go back where you came from. This is my country. This is like English-speaking country."
It usually happens with the homeless people back in Vancouver because they're being like super weirdos about it. They're just like, "Oh, where your accent coming from?" And I'm just like, "Well, I'm from Europe." They're just like, "Oh, nice, go back to Europe." And I'm like, "Okay, nice. You're so nice, guy."
And we were so startled because we really wanted to escape all of that disorder and attacks and being singled out for whatever reason. And a few nice people from the subway cart helped us out and calmed down the man. And it was, all well, all is well when it ends well. But what I realized then is that your accent, my accent, or the accents of many people who are coming from different countries, reveal your culture as well as your personality. So that could be both a good and bad thing.
Even just yesterday, talking to someone, they came up to me, they're like, "So where are you from?" Because I always advocate I love my home, I'm from Aruba, I'm going back home in a few days. So they were like, "Wait, you're from Aruba?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, I thought you were pure Canadian." And I was like, okay, first of all, what does that mean? And then second of all, no, I moved here 3 years ago. I guess some of the Toronto slang has really sipped into my accent, which is, I think, inevitable.
When people are like, "Oh, where are you from? Where's your accent from?" And I'll tell them when I moved here, and they're like, "Oh, where are you really from?" And I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? You asking me where my parents are from, or where they were born? Because I told you where I'm from, I told you where I was born and where I grew up.
You won't believe how much people that are relying about my capability, and they thought that because I couldn't speak English properly, I was going to cover it up. And that's like you. English is my first language, that language is my second. And any other language, I don't know, because it's only two languages.
The first time they meet me, they give me a look. So when they look at me in the beginning, there's no special look. But then when they ask me a question and I open my mouth, say a word, and they're like, what is the origin of that accent? Where is he from?
Where are you from? And are you really worth being around? Maybe, I don't know why.
In the beginning, I didn't understand the look they were giving me. I was like, is this a look of disappointment, or is this a look of, what the, yeah, what the fuck?
Finally, they can say, "Oh my God, you're Italian? I can't believe it." And they start to ask so many questions about Italy that I think I might change my work and start to do the tourist guide, because
the first thing is that moment of awe. They do "Oh, you're not Canadian. You're not from here." And then if they're this type that accepts everybody, they just carry on. But I haven't met a lot. They would be "Okay, what brings you here?" And they want to know more about my status here and how I came and why did I come. And some people would ask really weird and private questions, and how much are you gonna pay here, and what's the sum you money? I don't know why they ask this. They don't have the right to ask me this.
makes me like feel sometimes uncomfortable because the reaction is maybe too much, sometimes too extra, and I'm like, why? I'm just Italian and not so different from you or anyone else here.
I don't think the accent itself is that important, whereas the way you communicate, the way you form your sentences, if it's the way the native English-speaking people are used to, that I think is more effective rather than the accent itself.
Yeah, I think having an accent brings some spice to the language.
Nowadays, everybody's trying to be like, so unique, and they trying to find ways to kind of express themselves, which is going to like differentiate them from somebody else. And I think like, having an accent, it's like one of those like things that kind of help you stand out.
I just want people not to, categorize one another, and that would lead to a better society. That's the better and the best way to build a good society.
First, you can ask what's my name, and we can start a conversation like that. And after, you can ask me what's my background, and I will tell you the story.
Well, thank you for looking at my story.